Hello, we are back at the more Great Ace Attorney. Time to kick things off, as usual.
Could you be a little less cryptic, Lord Van Zykes?
I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Winterbank's pawnbroker. Under rest assured, the prosecution can prove it. What?
Good gracious!
You know, you know, at some point, I'm expecting this judge to say,
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire!
like, this man constantly says, good gracious and good lord. Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please. Yes, sir. What prints? These prints were taken from one of the detective's security cameras. Ah, he's red-handed recorder again. As previously explained, using the plan of the shop layout. Right, there's two. The victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in two locations. One was set to capture the counter where Mr. Winterbank received his customers, and the other was set to capture the shelves on which articles were placed for sale once forfeited. According to the information on this ticket, a gilded small box had been forfeited already. 2 days before the incident, at 9 p.m., on April 13th to be precise. Which means it would have been on the shelves of forfeited items in the front shop. Now, what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's at 11 p.m. on 15th of April. Okay.
The victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear.
Yeah. I mean, it is a pawnbroker. And then here we have another print. We need to have to do more stereoscope stuff. This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident.
I see. So we have two pictures to compare.
Okay.
I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold.
Okay, let's examine. This is to spot the difference. I gotta find someone. So I'm gonna go across and see if there's any physical changes. Anything that was moved slightly. I can't cross my eyes, but I'm gonna comb this thing real quick. Giving it a once over. That looks the same. That looks the same. I'm just checking the spacing on all the items on the shelves. Bottom row, left to right. Books, a plate. There's the horse in front of it. Wait a second. Oh, the bottom right of the shelves. There's, oh, I don't know what that is. There's like a light brown and the dark brown item. Like to the left of the stereoscope machine and to the right of the horse. It looks like there was two boxes were like parted or something. Okay.
Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache.
Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we considered theft as one possible motive in this case. We explored the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life.
So your men have already compared these two prints thoroughly, Inspector?
Yes, sir. We counted every single item in each of these two photographic prints. And the Yard's conclusion is that exactly the same number of items are present in both. Yeah, but there could have been something behind, which it would explain why the thing I saw was parted. In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbroker in the night in question. And my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy. I don't believe it. If I could have just shown that he'd stolen McGolden's pawn box. Pose. Might have been able to break him down at last. You know what, Bruno? I've been thinking. wonder if these two photographs really are exactly the same. Exactly what I'm saying. What? Stereoscope. I already know the answer, but stereoscope.
So, counsel, in the light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? It seems that, in fact, on the night in question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion?
I don't know. Would there be some hidden discrepancy in these two photographic prints somewhere? This piece of evidence. Before I give my answer, my lord, I'd like to try something if I may.
Try something? What do you mean, counsel?
I'll need to use a certain piece of evidence from the court record to identify the discrepancy.
I'm not entirely sure I follow. What piece of evidence do you intend to use to help you identify a discrepancy between the two prints?
Here we are. Stereoscope. Can't wait for juror number 3 to speak up. I'd like to use this device, my lord, to view the two prints stereoscopically.
Whoa!
I knew it.
Yes, you've got the bug at last. You can't resist it, can you? You've got the cross-eyed compulsion.
Juror number 3, what a surprise. Come on, Reno. Let's put the pictures in place and see what this wonderful contraption shows us. Saw that coming. There we go. Now, look through the eyepiece. I knew it. Right where I said it would be. I wasn't sure at first, but there was a clear discrepancy between the two prints.
What? You must identify the location in question for the court, counsel.
I really have to point this out when it's literally glaring me in the face? Okay, whatever. Yeah, that's close enough.
Take that!
Granted, these two prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them. What? Scotland Yard needs to up its game. When you view the two pictures stereoscopically. Whoa, that's a cool looking box. A single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box. I love this thing.
Let me... Wait. Unbelievable!
And I freaking... This image is hilarious to me. Just Van Zyke's holding this up. He's just holding it on the left still.
By Jove, you're right. By Jove, you're right. How extraordinary.
Cross-eyed Judge is also great. This case is going to be great for thumbnails, I'm just going to say that outright. All the cross-eyed stuff is going to be amazing. What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilded's small box was indeed not stolen from Windibanks on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it to its place on the shelves.
Are you suggesting that the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilded is in fact...
Yes, the very same small box I just identified in those photographic prints.
Objection!
Oh, what do you gotta say?
Mindless guesswork. What if it was?
Man, look at that hand.
Look at my hand. Look at how it curls the fingers.
So a box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Which means, quite simply, that nothing has changed. That may be true, but... Alright, McGilded's box wasn't stolen then. But doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things? It changes everything. I believe this changes everything about the case.
How can that possibly be?
I don't know, I'm just bullshitting, honestly. The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelves at Windibanks as we speak.
Objection!
That won't be necessary,
Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial.
The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Van Zykes. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further inspection.
Hell yeah. Come on. What's in the box? And this is very... I like just showing all three of them freaking menacingly. Or, I don't know, suspensefully, actually.
We should have a report within half an hour.
Oh god, are we doing another recess?
I think perhaps we should recess for a short while until the evidence is brought forth.
To be hoodwinked by such a farce. Disappointing.
I beg your pardon, Lord Van Zykes.
This is nothing but a smokescreen. A Nipponese specialty, it would seem. What are you trying to say? My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning. That this witness's intent was to steal an article belonging to Mr. McGilded from the pawnbrokery. Yet common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place. Exactly. It would be beyond absurd to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property. Let me pour a glass so I can throw it against the frickin' lamp in the background. Or crush it in my hand, whichever I prefer. Because I can do either, because I'm the prosecutor. Haha! If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGilded perished 2 months ago immediately after the conclusion of his trial. A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which it was established he was the upstanding member of society. His reputation implied, in fact. So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense. The articles that this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of its pockets, and a small box. I assure you, I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me. No, it does make rather a lot of sense.
That's if Golder chooses it. Jules is it, though who does McGill? But you can't deposit the check at the pawnbroker, blah 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 blah. I am Russian. I am tourist. I want to visit Crystal Tower.
Crystal Tower, yes, I forgot I have to do a more evil voice and not my standard Russian voice.
The prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling.
It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument. Oh, he did throw it against the lamp. That's chalice number 5 broken. To explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizenry could have.
Well, counsel, is your argument in fact... Oh shit, I didn't read that word. Is your argument in fact demonstratable? Are you able to show proof that the disc or the box are in any tangible way related to this case?
Well, what's the matter, Uno? We know that they're related, don't we? They're both vital pieces of evidence. Yes, of course. You and I both know that. We know Miss McGilded's true character, and we know the disc is significant, even if we don't know why. But if we explain all that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that McGilded's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. That the defense's argument was flawed, based on false information. Oh no! That would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury. But Guinea... It could be that Van Zykes knows. Is that why he's doing this now? Because he anticipated everything. But maybe... this could be a great opportunity for us. Sorry, what do you mean, Iris? Well, what is it that you always say, Runo? Sooner or later, the truth comes out. Every time. That is true. Alright, the exact significance of the things that Matilda deposited in Mr. Winnebank. It's something that only Gina can explain to the court. But if I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning this case. What's the right thing to do here? We gotta have her testify. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal.
Okay, then who's the bride? Oh, wait. Oh, what proposal, counsel?
While the court awaits the arrival of Mr. McGilden's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to the witness stand.
The defendant? To what end?
It's to do with the various articles deposited at Winterbanks by Mr. McGilden, my lord. Miss Lestrade has information relating to them. I believe it would be beneficial for the court to hear what she has to say. It will prove the significance of the articles in question once and for all.
Well, well, things are becoming interesting. I presume you've considered the implications of the testimony you're proposing. In particular, the impact it will have on the accused standing, and indeed your own.
I have.
Lord Van Sykes, would you care to explain that last remark? The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal. I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the defendant. Very well, if you have no objections. So, the court will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. You witnesses currently in the stand may step down until further notice.
Then I shall bid you good day.
Wait. You, sir, shall remain in the stand while Miss Lestrade testifies.
Bodied.
As you wish.
Damn, he didn't put up much resistance. Alright then, Gina, it's time. I know this will be hard, but please, put your faith in me here. Good luck, Reno. Alright. It's time for her, and there she is. Da 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 ba ba. The articles of Mr. McGilden had deposited in Winterbank's pawnbrokery are intimately related with the omnibus case, the trial of which was heard in this courtroom 2 months ago.
Yes, and I remember this young lady being brought up before me in that trial as well.
That's right, my lord. Her testimony helped us establish the innocence of the defendant, Mr. McGilden.
The omnibus case was intriguing, to say the least. Now here we are all again, the same players in that trial, facing each other once more.
Yeah, too bad we don't have Fair Play, Beppo, and Lady First.
The twist of fate, perchance, my Nipponese friend.
Allow me to recap the events of 2 months ago. An old brickmaker was stabbed to death in an omnibus running along London's winter streets. Apart from the victim, there is only one other person in the carriage, Mr. McGilden. Oh god, I just remembered. We have the blood samples still, and we know that Mr. Mason's blood was on one of the cards, you know, the article stuff, and then the same blood is also on the overcoat. I wonder if that's gonna come up. Naturally, he was the prime suspect for the murder. But as the trial progressed, another possibility emerged. That the murder in fact took place above the defendant's head on the roof deck, with the body then being dropped down through the skylight into the carriage below. It was Miss Lestrade whose testimony brought that possibility to light. At the time of the incident, Miss Lestrade was concealed under her seat in the carriage. hoping to pick the pockets of unsuspecting passengers. Then, immediately after the trial, having been acquitted of the murder, Mr. McGilded died in this very courtroom, in the most extraordinary of circumstances. Still don't know what happened there.
A mystery that remains unsolved even now, 2 months on. As indeed does the omnibus murder itself. Be that as it may, I recall neither the disc nor the small box being mentioned in the course of those proceedings.
Miss Lestrade, would you tell the court now, please? What really happened in the omnibus 2 months ago, I mean. I don't know what you mean. I already said all of what I know. And what about everything you told us yesterday from inside your prison cell? Please, Mr. Straight. This is extremely important. But...
Remember, little girl. If it transpires that you willfully withheld information in the trial 2 months ago...
You know what? Shut your ass up, you goofy-looking vampire-ass Dracula motherfucker. Shut your mouth and let the girl speak, okay? We don't need your unnecessary comments to try to frickin' scare her, alright? You're a dick. Put it away.
The Home Office will seek to prosecute you for perjury.
Shut up.
And naturally, you will lose all credibility as a witness. Although, let's face facts. You have little credibility to lose.
Yeah, then shut your ass up and let her talk. Ginny, don't listen to him. Please, you have to trust Runo now. Iris? We're on your side. That we are. Till the bitter end, as we said. Alright then. We'll talk. It's the right choice, Gina.
Well, it would seem that my learned friend is hell-bent on bringing the entire courtroom down about his ears. So be it. I must confess that I'm struggling to understand what on earth is happening here. However, it would appear that Mr. McGilden's pawned articles and that extraordinary case of the omnibus harbor secrets of which we have been hitherto unaware. So, Mrs. Strayed, you will now give your testimony before the court about the events of 2 months ago. You will reveal the truth, a commodity sorely lacking in your original statements.
This is it then. Everything's going to come out. Like Van Zykes said. This could bring the whole courtroom down about my ears. But as a lawyer, I'm prepared to take that risk. Alright. Let's do it. Witness testimony. The real truth about the omnibus case. Truth is that Brickmaker Cove was in the cabin of the omnibus the whole time. When the Irishman dragged me out from under the seat, I saw that disc on the floor. All of a sudden, I heard a scream from over me head, and that pair on the roof deck went off to call the slops. That's when McGilder slipped the driver some tin to do a run to the pawn shop roundabout. He threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one about what I'd seen or heard. There it is. Also, we have the Allegro music now.
Good grief, this is outrageous. What you've just told the court bears almost no resemblance to your testimony 2 months ago. As you say, my lord. Then there's every chance. I may have adjudicated an error in McGilda's trial. It sounds very much to me as if the man deliberately deceived this court in an effort to cover up the most wicked of schemes. Without doubt, your lordship is correct. A great injustice was done in this courtroom 2 months ago. The actions of the accused in that trial of this witness and my learned friend are entirely inexcusable.
I don't believe it. The whole trial 2 months ago was a farce? The McGilder fellow was brought to the court just like that pickpocket.
Don't forget that lawyer from the east. They were all in it together.
You're wrong, the lot of ya. Mr. Norado, the lawyer there, you didn't know nothing about it.
Humbug.
I don't think so. Are we really expected to believe that?
You really stitch everything up, didn't you? What an operation to get the man off scot-free.
Got interrupted again. Unforgivable. The lies have to stop. Yes, the defense made a terrible error of judgment. I intend to take full responsibility and suffer whatever consequences are deemed appropriate. However, it's imperative that the court allows the witness to elaborate on her testimony. Because the true significance of McGilded's pawned articles must be brought to light.
Very well, my learned student friend.
Exclamation mark.
Given the depths of calamity you have just plunged yourselves into, this may be worth hearing. Words fail me. This situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, my lord.
I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial.
Of course, my lord. Allow me, Mr. Naruhodo.
Now, counsel, proceed with the cross-examination.
That we shall. Cross-examination. The real truth of the omnibus case. Alright. And you were hiding in the cabin at the time as well, weren't you, Mrs. Strayed? If I remember rightly, in the storage compartment underneath one of the seats. Yeah, that's right. It's pitch black under there, so you can't see nothing at all.
Now, in your testimony 2 months ago, I feel certain that you claim Mr. McGilded was the sole passenger, did you not?
False testimony, my lord. That's what he told me I had to say. But it's important that you tell us the truth now. Were Mr. McGilded and the victim acquaintances? I don't know. But I did hear him talking a lot. What were they talking about? Well, I couldn't hear too well, but if I had to say, I think it was about money or something. They kept talking about buying and not buying.
Perhaps business dealings of some kind.
Well, anyway, they got louder and louder. It started to sound like a proper fight. I was pretty scared by then. Hardly dared to breathe, and then all of a sudden, I heard a noise like someone keeling over on the floor. It was blooming loud and all.
And I believe you let out an involuntary scream.
Yeah. That's what gave me away. Okay.
Hold it!
Was the disc you saw this disc? Yeah, I reckon it probably was. It was right next to the cove lying on the floor.
Could this disc have belonged to the victim, perhaps?
I don't know, but McGilded picked it up pretty smartish. And then he sat in the cove with a knife in his belly up on the seat. What did he say to you at the time? He told me not to say a word about what I'd seen or heard to no one else. About the disc and all. I was dead scared. The way he was looking at me, I thought, if I didn't go along with it, I'll get stuck with that knife too. Then he started asking me a load of questions. Like what my name was and where I lived and that. He asked me about being a diver too. But after a while, what had happened in the carriage was noticed. Yeah, that's right. First it was a kind of rapping noise. Screen from over my head. Okay, those two. There were 2 gentlemen occupying the seats on the roof deck, I believe. That's right. There they are again. He must have looked down through the skylight and noticed the cove with the knife in his guts. When they screamed, the driver pulled up the horses and McGilded got me out of sight.
Out of sight? Where?
Back on the seat where I started off. Once the carriage came to an halt, two cows from the roof ran off to fetch his slops.
If they immediately left to fetch the police, it would appear they were entirely unrelated to the incident.
Well, besides being witnesses. So that left McGilded, the driver, and you still at the scene. Yeah, only the driver didn't know I was there because I was under the seat. I heard the cabin door open and a voice from outside.
The driver, yes, he also testified in the trial, I believe.
Yep, Beppo.
A fellow who went by the name of Beppo, if memory serves.
What did McGilded and the driver say to each other? I don't know what happened and stuff like that, mainly. Alright, that's when McGilded slipped the driver some tin to do a run to the pawn shop around about. That pawn shop obviously being Windibank's on Baker Street.
Just a moment, counsel. Do you mean to tell me the driver gave false testimony in that trial as well? Perhaps the excursion to the pawnbroker slipped his mind when he was on the stand. Indeed, Lord Van Zykes.
McGilded took off his coat and gave it to the driver. He folded it up, or kefalock, before handing it over. When I saw him do that, I remember thinking, that coat and what's in it has got to be worth a few bob. Yes, Gina was sure the disc must be worth more than Mr. Windibank was suggesting, wasn't she? I remember her quibbling with him over the price that afternoon at the pawnbrokery. The driver looked pretty happy when McGilded flashed some brass from his face. He went running off at a lick. Then the bog trotter called to me and told me to come out from the drag's cabin. He threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one about what I'd seen or heard. Threatened you how exactly? Told me I'd only be able to scalp if I did exactly what he said.
Which included giving false testimony in court 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's it. And there was one other thing he said.
Which was?
He told me I'd have to hang on to the ticket from the pawn shop and make sure not to lose it.
The ticket? Well, I never.
Said that if he didn't show up to get the ticket off me before 2 months passed, I had to go to the pawn shop and pay the money to keep it in lag, to stop it being forfeited. He left me with some brass to pay for it.
But really, why on earth would Mr. McGilded have done such a thing? Depositing his overcoat with the pawnbroker before the arrival of the police. It makes no sense at all.
There would seem to be only one logical explanation, my lord. Well, McGilded had the driver deposit Windibank's was something he didn't want the police to see. Something very important that he needed to hide at all costs. Anyway, after that, he let me go, so I legged it before the coppers showed up. Right. Well done, Gina. It can't have been easy to tell the truth like that. Kinney's really put her faith in you, Reno. Yes, and to think her, she'll have to face a charge of perjury once this trial's over. So I need to use the time we have now to get as much information out of her as possible. It's time to really go for it. Press her on every statement. I suppose I should. Oh, and another thing. What's that? Take a look at those two. Isn't it strange that they've been whispering to each other the whole time? Yes, that is strange. Looks like they're having a secret discussion about something. I'm not sure I'm completely comfortable with that. I wonder if there's anything I can do about it. Ooh.
Hold it!
I have an idea, so just press any statement, maybe.
Excuse me!
Is there something you'd like to share with the court, Inspector Gregson, Mr. Graydon? I was afraid the music wasn't fading out, and I was like, oh no, am I gonna lose HP for this? I wonder if you can pursue it any time casually and maybe, I don't know, maybe get some funny dialogue in the future. Because there was no tell for this. I didn't even notice that they had their backs turned to us. Inspector, Mr. Graydon.
Ooh, blimey, you try to give me a heart attack.
You have been whispering to each other for quite some time now. Tell us, what is the discussion about? Discussion? With this fella? All the other ones, sunshine. You think I've got anything to talk about with a shady gent like this? And I have nothing to say to this uncouth detective after he deprived me of that disc that was rightfully mine. They've clearly been talking about the entire time I've been cross-examining Gina. It's as if they've been negotiating. Wow, dang. That's really clever. We were doing a freaking cross-examination with Gina, and the entire time we were supposed to freaking pursue the other two. There wasn't, like, it didn't do the obvious tell or anything.
Thank you, Miss Lestrade. Thank you, Counsel. I've heard enough. I believe we now have a reasonable understanding of what actually transpired on the omnibus.
It would appear on that night 2 months ago a negotiation was taking place on the omnibus. Ah! Sorry about that, I had a frickin' coughing fit out of nowhere. A negotiation concerning this disc. However, matters did not run smoothly. When the parties involved began to quarrel over a price, McGilded took what he wanted by force, at the expense of the other man's life. Which proves my point. The disc is clearly extremely valuable in some way. Although I don't understand why as yet. And 2 days ago, precisely 2 months after the omnibus incident. Sorry. Gonna drink water so I don't cough again. McGilded's coat and its contents were due to be forfeited. I didn't know what I should do with the ticket. I mean, the cove died right after his trial, I knew that. So you decided you would try to claim the articles as your own? Well, why not, eh? They were only going to be forfeited. Why shouldn't I have got them? Anyway, you can't blame me for thinking about it. Thinking ain't no crime.
Miss Lestrade, it would appear Mr. McGilded was prepared to kill in order to take possession of this disc. Do you know why that would be?
Eh? I ain't got a clue. Well, I reckon it must be worth a fair bit of brass. He was probably going to sell it. I really like this. This is probably my favorite pose of hers. The like, curious look of, like, I wonder. I don't know. It's just very cute. And you can't blame me for thinking that. Thinking ain't no crime.
Hmm.
I'm gonna assume that's like the bailiff or something. My lord! Yep. Yeah! I need to stop coughing. You know what, I'm gonna pause for a second until this coughing subsides. Alright, I think I'm fine now. The evidence your lordship requested has been located and is ready for the court's inspection, sir. Oh, wow. The boom, doon, doon, doon. The mysterious little box, deposited by McGilded 2 months ago. There's no doubt in my mind that it's a key piece in this far-reaching puzzle. And now we've reached part 4 of the case. Oh my, I was joking. I was joking, game. I was joking. This was not supposed to be serious, no. This case has 4 parts to it. Trial part 4. Good lord. And there's the box.
So, this is the article in question, is it? The small box deposited with the pawnbroker by Mr. McGilded 2 months ago.
And on the night of Mr. Winterbank's murder, the only item on the shelves that was touched by whoever broke into the shop. Quick, quick, let's open it and see what's inside. Okay. Is that a music box?
Good gracious! This is no ordinary box, it seems.
Wow, although in truth I had an inkling that might be the case. It would appear that the box houses a miniature music box movement. Oh, damn. Gee, I wonder where we're going with this.
Then, is it too much to expect?
I think it would be reasonable to assume that it is a device for the playback of this disc, my lord. Oh, shit.
So, here we have the means to play back Mr. McGilded's disc, deposited at Winterbanks at much the same time.
Not strictly correct, my lord. It was not McGilded's disc. It was the disc of his victim in the omnibus.
But why, for heaven's sake? Are we to understand that the brickmaker was trying to sell this music box disc to Mr. McGilded?
Huh. I believe the answer will become clear if we listen to the music on the disc, my lord.
Yes, very well. Let the court now listen to this curious disc at last.
Gregson? Oh, wait, my lord.
Good grief, what is the meaning of this, Inspector?
The second time he has spoken up this trial, and yet again it's about the disc. The music box and the disc are, well, they're unrelated to the case. No need to spoil the somber atmosphere in the courtroom with some silly bit of music. This disc may very well have motivated the culprit in this case to commit murder. Clearly, there's every chance that it's fundamentally important to understand what happened. The prosecution has no objection. But no, that piece of evidence is police property, and clearly Scotland Yard has some vested interest here. But it is policy of this prosecutor to leave no avenues unexplored. And you, Inspector, have no jurisdiction here to prevent that from happening. Gag!
No further delays, please. Play the disc.
Alright. Why wouldn't he want this to be played so much? Boehner. This is my ringtone.
Oh, what on earth? That's certainly not what I would call music.
No. It's just the same note playing over and over again in a regular sequence.
Oh
no. The last time we heard someone laugh maniacally was McGilded himself.
Mr. Graydon.
This really is priceless. Pose. After all that, the music box is broken. Broken? It can't be, can it? Well, obviously. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the officers sent to fetch it didn't drop it on the way back to the courtroom.
Well, with much regret, I feel the court must accept that this music box offers little in the way of clues. Van Zykes has gone quiet. Are you ready to move on, counsel?
Come on. Yes, alright. It does sound as though it's completely broken, but isn't. Could this music box emanating from the Could this music emanating from the music box possibly be a new clue? I mean, it's the only thing we got, so we kind of gotta press it to some extent. I believe that it could be relevant, my lord.
Good lord, but how can it be? It's an abomination, counsel, mere noise. I fail to see how it can have any meaning whatsoever.
It does sound strange, I agree. There's one thing bothering me. While Graydon stands there chortling victoriously, the inspector beside him has a rather telling expression on his face. It's as if Gregson recognizes the sound, as if he's familiar with it somehow. That's making him appear extremely on edge. If that's the stance of the defense, my Japanese friend, answer me this. Oh. This do be kind of a banging tune, though.
Just what relevance do you propose this woeful chiming has on this case?
Why is there a cat meowing in the courthouse? Eh, whatever. It's the defense's belief that the sound emanating from this music box is an unusual genre of music. It could be an unusual genre of music that none of us are familiar with. I'm just quietly filling a glass. In the pose with no freaking dialogue.
Counsel, would you care to elaborate on that remark?
Well, it could be a new style of music that's about to take the world by storm, for example. It's like Back to the Future, when he plays, like, rock music or whatever, and he's just like, You all probably don't like this, but your kids are gonna love it, or whatever.
I think not, Counsel. Such monotonous nonsense could be pleasing to no one's ear, surely.
I don't know. It's a music box disc, so it still sounds pleasing to some extent.
Well said, my lord. And here's to my learned friend seeing that remark's true meaning.
Yeah. I like to make it sound like Ryunosuke takes physical damage every time he loses HP. The music, or whatever you want to call it, has to be relevant somehow.
Let's see if you grasp the question better next time around.
Yes, I get it. Eh, it's broken. It's kind of busted. I don't care if I even lose HP for this. Because I think I've been doing real well this time. I've been doing real well in this trial. Clearly the music box is broken in some way. He's filling up yet another glass. They're doing it again.
Counsel, I feel you are perhaps floundering in your non-native tongue, but broken is tantamount to irrelevant here.
Indeed, and here's to your own irrelevant noise, my learned friend. Dies. Okay, yeah. Now I'll do the actual answer. We've heard this music box for long enough. Though at some points, the freaking notes do actually go together right now. They go together well. Like, there was one point where it went like, dun 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 dun, or something. Not supposed to be music. The music just stops the second we slam our hands down. Just because this is a music box doesn't necessarily mean the sounds we're hearing are music. Oh. We got a reaction. Look at that. The smile vanished from Graydon's lips as soon as I said it. I'm on the right lines here. I must be. Heh, making deductions based on how people react to what you say. You're acting just like Hurley, Bruno. Please don't say that.
Objection!
Yeah, thank you for objecting to that. I don't want to be compared to him.
The sounds we're hearing aren't necessarily music. Well, now that you've told us what they are not, would you perhaps enlighten us as to what they are? Do enlighten us, my Nipponese friend.
Well,
surely you have an idea in mind, because if not, it will be the death of your ill-formed argument.
Exactly. The music box is clearly broken. Refusing to accept that fact is pure foolishness. Scum. Scum. Cut off. Blast. Damn, now I want to give this dude like a frickin' British version of Virgil. I mean, he kind of does look like... Oh my god. No, why do I have to make that comparison? I made the comparison that he looks like Rufus Shinra in my head. They've got me. I don't know what the answer is yet. But we'll find out. Next time on Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Adios, ciao, and bye-bye. Signing off until next time. Ciao, matane.